planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked.
Hey, great morning, everybody. Coach and Beyond with Coach Sagasa, and this is Minutes with Coach. So today I have on the line is Jamie Hendrick, and I definitely want to welcome you this morning with Minutes with Coach. And this is an opportunity where we interview select individuals throughout the world, and I mean that throughout the world. Next week I'll have Henrique from Nigeria on. And so I cannot wait. A new year brings great things for a lot of different people around the world. So, Jamie, how are we doing this morning?
I'm fabulous. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, no, absolutely. Hey, I appreciate it. You know, every single morning, this whole year, we've done, no sugar in my coffee. And I've done very few interviews during then, but more of the concept that surrounded Coaching Beyond and that surrounded No Sugar in My Coffee was directed towards bringing that motivation for the morning and definitely expressing great things and attributes for your day and for your week. I wanted everybody to have a great, sincere time on this earth in this year of 2016 to rejoice and be happy and to, whatever thing when things were like wrong in your life, that there were definite times that you can point to somebody, or you could definitely gravitate towards somebody who could bring you to another realm and definitely send you in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? So that's what No Sugar in My Coffee was. And as we begin this new week with Minutes with Coach, it's a select time that in 2017 is just going to be directed towards, and I was sharing this with my beloved half, is it's a directed time where I interview iconic individuals throughout the world. In fact, yesterday I sent an email over to the Cleveland Browns. I look forward to definitely interviewing some of their CEOs and some of their HR, PR, their PR people. So, this is what it's about. This is definitely going about overcoming your comfort zone and definitely expressing to the world of exactly who you are and where you're going in life. So you always remember your past, you always remember your present, and you always look forward to the vision of your future. So, Jamie, I appreciate you definitely for being on. And so let's get into it. Who is Jamie? What is Jamie? Speak. Tell me.
Who is Jamie? That's a big question right there. Who is Jamie? Jamie is a woman of God and a mother, inspiration to people that just come into my life. I feel, I once had somebody tell me, because I love to help people, and this person looked at me and they're like, Jamie, you cannot change the world. And I was like, I just looked at them and I was like, you know what, you're right. I can't change the world, but I can change the world of everybody that comes into my world. So I that's how I treat life. I treat everybody how I want to be treated. I look at life as this love and to give back. That's Jamie. Love people and give back to people. That's my life, kind of like my life motto, to just love and give back to people. So that's kind of Jamie in a small shell. But yeah, so I just love people, give back, and, inspire wherever I go, so yeah, that's Jamie.
I liked it. You definitely described what a lot of people should be feeling at this present moment in their life, and there's a lot of people, I would say almost, I would definitely have, if I had to put a number on it, I would say almost 90, maybe 96%. I would say between 90 to 96% of people today in the world fall short from that. They fall absolutely short from that attribute of having love for their fellow man. And I think that, it could definitely, it dawns down from, what we've been bred to have in our lives, and like the foundation of who we are. And I think a lot of it, as you spoke about being very spiritual, is having that love of God, having that sense of true love, of true happiness. And and that brings me to my next question for you. What brings happiness for you in your life today versus last year or maybe 5 years ago? What truly brings happiness for you?
What brings true happiness to me is definitely my daughter. Just waking up every day knowing that God has blessed me to, direct her life in the path that it's going, and just also giving back to people brings me happiness. Anytime I feel like I'm down and out, like if it's jumping on Facebook doing a live video, or giving something away to somebody, or giving to a homeless person, I always find that no matter where I'm at in life, if I'm giving back to somebody else, there's some kind of fulfillment in me, and it brings a happiness in me. And that's a good question, because a lot of people look to other people for happiness, Coach. And happiness doesn't come from the things around you. That is something that comes from within. You have to choose to want to be happy, because there's so many circumstances and things that happen in our life where we can choose to let the circumstance overtake us. But for me, I wake up daily and make a conscious choice not to let my life circumstances consume me, and be happy and keep pushing forward. But the things around me, the one thing that I find more than anything that makes me happy is when I'm giving back to other people.
Yeah, one of the greatest leaders that I've come, aside from Christ Almighty, but I mean, when I look back on the world's leaders that we look at today that are iconically, well embedded in history, I think of Marcus Aurelius, and I think of Martin Luther King. One of the famous quotes that I've embedded into my mind, and I used it as a practice into my creed, is he said, the most persistent and urgent question should always be asked is, what have you done for others? And when I look back, as I said earlier in this section, was, as Christ said, he said, love thy neighbor as thyself. And how can I sit here and ultimately love myself and be very selfish? The question was asked for Jamie, what brings happiness for you in your life? And definitely I can sense the optimistic tendency that she has for other people, and including for herself. And I think that's it's ultimately a great tool. It's a great attribute towards your life, because without being optimistic, you're always surrounding yourself with being pessimist, and that's just it, is you don't want to be pessimist, So
well, and we have a choice in life though too, Coach. Just look at everything around us. You have media, you have, your life, you have all this negativity that sneaks in ways that you wouldn't think, but it is ultimately a choice to be optimistic. It's ultimately a choice to be happy. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes limiting those negative things that come in, is very imperative, because I didn't come from a lifestyle where it was a happy life. You know what I mean? We've had multiple conversations. We kind of have similar backgrounds. And even for you, it's a choice. We choose to be happy. We choose to walk the life. So I think a lot of it, again, goes back to choice in changing your surroundings to be that happy person, to love and to give, and having a strong faith in God.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I was always told, even when I was, I always remember, like, when I was coaching kids, I would always tell them, or not tell, but share with them, either after a game or during practice, I would always express, like, an individual can make a difference, but a team can make a miracle. And when you surround yourself around team-oriented individuals that bring great things to the table, then yeah, you definitely start to express, and that's why you as you said, we've shared multiple conversations throughout this time and this year, and definitely there's some great unity of things that we commonly have that bring us together. But I mean, ultimately, you're absolutely right when you think about the choices that we have, because it's one of the greatest powers. And I wrote that in the section of one of my books that I passed over to the UK and down to Australia to Pat. It is so important. It is so imperative that you make the right choices in life, because if you're not making the right choices, that it could definitely be catastrophic to you. I love that.
Absolutely.
I love that. All right. So next question. How do you feel about education today?
Education today, I think this can go two ways. I think if it is suitable for that person to go to school, because education do you mean like as in college, moving on to college after you graduate from high school? Is that what you're meaning in education, Coach Sagasta?
I'm actually insinuating like education. How do you feel education is impaired today as it was tomorrow?
Okay.
And so
today, like, here's what I think. I think it's imperative that parents teach their kids at home. You know what I mean? Because the school system has gotten so robotic that I think what we need to do as parents is be involved and tell our children and self-educate them, have them read books at home, teach them what life lessons, because it's a system, is not teaching them that. We need to set them up for success. If that looks like college for them, if that looks like, them going on to creating their own business, whatever that looks like, I'm not very big on the Common Core system. I think there's some children getting left behind in that. But I definitely think education is very important. Knowledge is power. But I think it's also up to the parents to help their children to learn life lessons, because the system doesn't teach them that. The system teaches them the Common Core, the stuff that, the math, the science, the English. But we, as parents, teach them life lessons, what will actually train them up to go out into the world and to be successful adults.
I like that. I think back, on great writers. There's a lot. We've had a lot of great writers in our time here in this country and throughout the world. Mm-hmm. But I think about, what Frederick Douglass once said. He said it's easier to build up strong children than to repair broken men. And when I look back on that, and I think about how strong those words truly mean to a lot of people, like, it is truly easier to build a stronger children when you have the substantial education, because I've worked in education, and I know that there are some great educators out there, but I also know on the flip side of that, because there's always two sides to a coin, that even on the other side, you have educators who have stopped educating themselves and therefore give absolutely nothing. They bring nothing to the table when it comes to educating kids for tomorrow. And that's what just is a troubling aspect in today's society.
Here's what's beautiful. I accidentally stumbled upon Lisa Nichols the other night, and phenomenal woman, phenomenal. She's in The Secret, and now she's like a transformational, motivational speaker. And I literally watched her for 2 hours the other night, and she was talking about the different speakers, and the very first one she said was informational, and sometimes that's what happens with teachers. They are just throwing out so much information. They're informational. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's really interesting, that you have these different, you have motivational speakers, you have inspirational speakers, then you have the transformational speakers. And sometimes we look at these teachers and put so much on these teachers to do, when in reality, it's, this saying isn't said for no reason. It takes a village to raise a child. It's not just the teacher's job to educate that child. So, but I think it's imperative. Like, the reason you get stagnant teachers or you get phenomenal teachers, because you like you, Coach, you were informational, you were motivational, and you were inspirational. That's a combination of three that makes you a very dynamic person. in children's lives. So, but if you're just informational, I think you lose kids by just being informational, because they need more than that. They need all sides of it. They need to be inspired. They need to be motivated. You know what I mean? So,
you know what? I have ever never heard it like that, and you're the first person I've ever heard that from. Informational and inspirational. And what was the third? The third one?
It was it was informational. You have an informational speaker. You have motivational speakers. You have inspirational speakers, and then you have transformation speakers.
Wow. That's transformational speakers. That's new. Like like absolutely. Like I've never heard that one before, and that I like that one. That's really sweet. I like that.
You should have seen me. I was like a kid. I was like 2 hours.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you were definitely engaged in that, huh?
Yeah, I was very engaged. Like I slapped her name up on my wall and everything. You know, and even in her, like when she's doing her speeches, she engages with the audience. Like she has a thing that she does that says yes, yes. Like your first yes has to be yes, and then the second yes has to go higher, because the first yes is to my dream, yes, and then the second yes is to follow your calling on your life. So it's like, you know, she says something and then they're like, yes, yes, you know what I mean? So she's very engaged, and it was like, I'm telling you, it was the most stumble upon thing, but the most amazing thing that could have happened to me like 2 nights ago. So
no, I like that. I like that. I actually do. I actually do. I mean, when you hear informative information like that, that's what truly it grabs my attention extremely. As a former educator and consistent self-actualization individual, I'm always looking for informative information to definitely help engage, you know, my intellect. You know, I want to engage more with learning. And so like next year for No Sugar in My Coffee, and you're the first, along with social media platforms, you're the first to actually hear it. But like come next year, like I've talked to my managers, I've consulted with my wife, and that's exactly what it's come down to is now, as of next year, No Sugar in My Coffee is just motivational Mondays. Like I won't do it Monday through Sunday anymore. It would just be Mondays. And it was kind of catastrophic for me. Like it was a little catastrophic for me, because I'm not used to that. I'm so used to being in the spotlight every single morning and doing it. But you know what? That's going to be so much time. Like, you know, my goal is to read 65 books this next year. And like this year, I've got 55 books. This year, I got 55. So next year, it's 65. And the only way to accomplish that is to spend more time engaging in that. And so I love it. I love it. I love it. I think that you're on point. You're on key. So let's go and get into our next question. I want to get into our next question, because our next question definitely engages. It engages in that moment of what do you see yourself for 2017?
2017, I will be doing more speaking engagements. I'm actually going to be interacting and networking more in my community, meaning I'll be in Nashville a little bit more, going to Nashville, meeting women, and just a ton. I can see 2017 being such a year of completion and overflow. You know, I'm so excited to see the doors that open up. I wrote a book. It's my story. You know what I mean? But it needs to be told, because somebody's deliverance is going to come out of my story, just like somebody's deliverance is going to come out of Coach Sagas's. You know, so for me, 2017 is going to be branding my own name, the Jamie Lynn Show, and just more business stuff coming to flourish, and just really, you'll see more of me. I don't know if it'll be more on social media, but I definitely will be doing more speaking engagements where I travel and share my story about what God has done in my life. So
That's awesome, Jamie. That's awesome. And let me recommend something. When I always recommend something, I recommend the best for the best. And so let me express something to you. Always aim, if you really want to try to make action for yourself and really see yourself somewhere beyond, is reach further than you ever reached before. Like for Coach Sagasta, I've reached out to people on, what is that, travel television. I've reached out to people on the Food Network. I've reached out to Oprah Winfrey. I've reached out to different NFL and NBA PRs and HRs, and like, I'm reaching out. Like, why? Because there is never an end to it. Like, it's limitless. There's so many different platforms, so many different people you can speak with. And so I express this to you that, you know what, Oprah would be, you could get on Oprah, you could get on any one of these talk show hosts and definitely engage your story. I think it'd be great and overwhelming.
Well, I have some amazing connections. I was on TVN years ago, not on the show, but I was on set with Pastor Yolanda and Joseph Morgan. They're out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, and their son Wes Morgan is a gospel singer. Amazing. That family is just phenomenal, period. They're just so full of love. And Yolanda and I have always just had this connection, and she's always said, I want you to come speak at my church, and I want you to come speak. I said, it's not time. I said, timing is everything. And so I reached out to her after I heard, I heard God tell me, reach out to Yolanda, and she's going to meet with me after the holidays. So I don't know where that's going to go and what we're going to do, but I will be reaching out to her, and her husband host the TVN show here in the South. So
that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
that's great things right there. Great doors opening. That's great. That's great doors opening. All right, so let's get on to question number 5, and it's a 2-part question. What do you offer in a relationship, whether it be your friendship, your partnership with what you're doing? What do you bring? What core value or balance do you bring? What's the number one? Just one at this moment. Just one core value.
I'm just going to use what just recently happened. I had a friend that, literally got caught up in, I just allowed her to come over and be herself. I'll tell you what I offer. I offer upfront, true advice, like, no sugar in my coffee type of advice.
Yeah.
I'm just very straightforward, you know what I mean? And in a way that doesn't make them feel like they're on the defense, but they also know that there's absolutely no judgment coming from me. You know what I mean? I don't care what you've done. If you've slept with a married woman or man, or you've murdered somebody, it is not my place to judge you. It is my place to love you and give you the best advice and have you look yourself in the mirror and say, what can I do to change today? You know what I mean? But then again, be that shoulder and hug you and say, everything's going to be okay. That's what I have to offer. That's what I bring to the table in friendships. It's just knowing that I'm loyal and I'm there no matter what, and that's authentic. That's not something you get every single day in a relationship.
No, absolutely not. And when I hear you speak, I'm thinking right off the bat, I'm thinking of more of a authenticity of character. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't speak. They say, "Oh, I want authenticity." You have to be authentic. But you know what? When you bring the character behind it, it brings so much more to just being authentic. Because authenticity of character is being you're authentic, even when people don't even see you. That is what is so transparent by a lot of people that they don't really see. One thing that Helen Keller once said, is some of the most pathetic people in the world are people that have sight but no vision. And when I envision people, when I surround myself around the greats, the thing that I envision is being very authentic. authenticity of character, because I want you to definitely express being authentic, being loyal, being humble, being respectable, but also showing the same character, the same attributes in the character essence too. And I think that you're definitely expressing that. I love it. I love that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's get into our number six question. Our number six question: who was your positive role model in life, and why?
That's such a hard question to narrow down. You know what I mean? Because I've had so many people. Because you gotta understand something in my life. Like, people come and go. You know what I mean? But for me, I can't just say one person. Like, last year, for like 3 years, I had a mentor who was in my life who taught me amazing things. And then she walked out of my life. You know what I mean? So to me, I can't just narrow that. Like, when you ask me that question, it's not just one particular person, because there's been seasonal people that have come into my life. But I will say this, because the person comes to mind. I will tell you somebody that I absolutely love and adore with every ounce of my being, and that is my brother, Terrell Davis. This guy, and when I say he's my brother, he's my brother. Like, he has seen me good, bad, ugly. We've kind of like bumped heads, but he's that person that no matter what, he is loving me. You know what I mean? Like, he loves me in spite of. I've never seen anybody show that kind of unconditional love. He'll put me in check, but he'll also love me at the same time. He's been very inspirational to me. Business side, spiritual side, friend side. It's just like, matter of fact, that's where I was Christmas Day. I spent my Christmas Day with him and his wife and their kids, and it was just phenomenal. He's been the one person that's been consistent and not walked out of my life because I wasn't living up to what he wanted me to. So many people give up on somebody too quickly because they're not doing or being the way that they want them to be. And he's been that person that is just said, you know what, Jamie, I'm ride or die. I'm here. If you fall, I'm going to be right there. I'm going to be mad at you, but you know what? I'm going to love you, and I'm not going to beat you up about it. And I would have to say he's that person at this point in my life that's been very, very, very instrumental in my life.
I like that. That's awesome. All right, with 2 minutes to give, 2 minutes left in our episode. Minutes with Coach is definitely. Well, sometimes I engage in questions that are very, very hard to answer, and you know what? It's that ability that you have deep down inside you to be able to quickly react and definitely jump into the conversation, become the conversationalist that you are. And so I ask you this one, and then we get off with the last one. But what is your why, Jamie? What is your why?
My why is my girls. I have 3 beautiful daughters, Brianna, Riley, and Mariah, and they are my why. Because I have to think about when I'm long gone, what am I going to leave behind for them? I don't want to leave them the life that I had, and I want them to always say, you know what, no matter what, she got up and she kept moving forward. No matter what, she left a life for us to follow and be that example. I didn't start off right, but I'm going to end it right. And they are definitely the reason I get up every day. They're the reason I do what I do every day. And just my girls. My girls are my why.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so now, real fast, last one is creed, promise, or resolution for New Year's. Which one of those 3 would be yours, and why?
Did you say creed?
Yeah, CREED, creed, a promise or a resolution.
I definitely am not going to say resolution. I don't do resolutions. I would say creed, because I'm just going to be intentional about things that I do, and I'm not going to make promises because things can change. So I'm definitely going to be intentional about the things that I do this year, and just, I don't do resolutions.
Okay, yeah. Make the difference. Make the difference. That's great. That's great.
Yes.
Well, we're 15 seconds out. I appreciate you being on. You know, Minutes with Coach is real direct, real fast, real quick. Get in, get out, and get engaged. So definitely making a difference, Jamie. I appreciate you, author, professional speaker. Tell everybody where they can see you and meet you at, Jamie, please.
You can go on Facebook right now, Facebook, Jamie Hendrick, and also you can find me on Snapchat and Instagram, Jamie Lynn 1575. So check me out. Like, I have a really good time on there. You'll see a lot of me and my daughter. So come on, check me out.
Awesome, Jamie. I appreciate you, and I look forward to talking to you here shortly. And when you know what, we have 4 days left of this new year. So God bless.
Yes, sir.
God bless, and I look forward to great things in 2017.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So there you had Jamie Hendricks on, and it was a great opportunity for people to get to know who she is, what she brings to the table, and you know, I definitely have befriended her long ago, and you know, she's been a great family, a great part of the family, because she has a great sense of aspiration and serving God, and I appreciate that more than anything, because as I've learned from a lot of the greats, is you have to have faith in your desires. So thank you so much for tuning on Minutes with Coach, and I'm out of here.